4 here at the Hot Talk KOAN studios. When you hear that music every Thursday, it's time for Kevin Scholla, the host of SarahNetRadio.net. He is a Breitbart columnist, and he knows everything about everything. I mean, it's just unbelievable. The guy's like talking to Wikipedia or the dictionary or something like that. Kevin, good morning.
Wait, he knows everything about everything? You scheduled Obama today instead of me?
No, I didn't. I didn't schedule the Messiah. I didn't need the waters.
Oh, okay.
I didn't need the waters parted.
Okay. How are you, sir?
I'm well, and let's see. It's 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30 your time back in the East Coast, correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Yes, sir. So, what is going on back out there in the land of the blue states?
Well, yeah, there are a bunch of them right there. The contiguous blue states.
Yeah, the coast. You ever done any thinking as to why all that? That's a whole nother conversation. We're going to stay away with it. Why dense populations always produce a lot of liberals, but I think I know the answer to it. But anyways, what's going on, my friend?
Well, you know, a lot happening with Governor Palin, that's for sure. An appearance on Jimmy Fallon's show last night.
Oh, I didn't see that. What went down? Did she smack?
Yeah,
did she smack him?
She was not. She was not actually there as an interview. It was actually a little sketch they did with her on the phone with Fallon dressed as Vladimir Putin.
Really?
And Fallon basically gave her a call on her prediction of him invading the Ukraine, and it was very funny. And then they heard some breathing on the other side of the phone, and then they had the guy dressed as Obama there getting caught listening on his NSA line, and then he hangs the phone up all sheepishly. So it was really good. Palin, she played the flute. She did everything. You know, she used the Russia line. You know, that's a line that they belittled her with. That Tina Fey nonsense that people think, you know, they attribute it to her. And what does she do? Instead of, you know, complaining about it, she embraces it and makes a joke out of it like a normal person.
That's the best politics. You know, if something is deprecating, it's the way to do it. I think that's a smart deal. Yeah.
And then it was funny, too. They made some references to Obama's mom jeans and some other things, and the crowd roared, and I wonder how many of them know that these are original Palin lines. They probably think these were from Fallon or from his writers, but no, they gave her, you know, the credit that she deserved when she talked about that when he came out and quote unquote threw that first pitch that time in his mom jeans. So yeah. it was very funny. I'm not a big Fallon guy, but he did a great Putin. I will give him that.
Yeah, that's
and
funny.
It was good stuff. And you know, she was just promoting the show because tonight is her new show, Amazing America with Sarah Palin on Sportsman Channel. It debuts tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I hope she gets great ratings. I think she will. There's just you know, it's like when Bristol was on Dancing with the Stars. You know, they did what people didn't realize is that people get to call in and vote. You know, and there's a huge. It's people don't realize this. You know, you can like Sarah or not, and up here in Alaska, everybody's got their own opinion. Of course, we're about as independent as they come, but it is amazing that the strength that she has around the country. And I'm not saying, you know, like she's going to walk out and win a presidential election tomorrow or anything like that. What I'm saying is, though, is that there is a significant following, and that's true because these television people wouldn't be coming to her and asking her to do these shows, and also these candidates wouldn't be asking her to come and stump for them as a campaign for U.S. Congress, United States Senate, or even maybe some state races. So isn't it? I mean, you probably know it better than I do. What is that following out there with her?
I think you hit it, Eddie, and I like the comparison between the candidates and between the entertainment shows. It's a little bit almost like the same thing. These candidates know there is no endorsement like hers. I wouldn't even be able to tell you what the second best endorsement would be. There's really no answer to that. It would probably depend on where you live and regional and things of that nature and what party you're in, but she is by far the number one endorsement out there. She just endorsed a great bunch of candidates that she's working hard for. And the same thing with these shows. You see, you know, if they added a little sketch with someone else, I don't think the Jimmy Fallon show would have tweeted it out so feverishly as they did yesterday. It would have just been a little something that people who were watching would be able to see if someone else made a guest appearance. But she is, she's that draw. She has that cachet like nobody else.
And you know what? I don't think he would. Let's face it. He wouldn't have done a skit if it wouldn't be popular. You know what I mean? Because it's all about the ratings. So you live and die by them, right? And I don't think he would have done that. Do you? If it wasn't for the popularity of her and people watching.
Well, he wouldn't have done it. And the other thing is, most people in her position or a figure like her couldn't pull it off. I mean, they'd come on and be all awkward about it, and she goes right into it, and it's comfortable and it's funny, and you know that it's just silly, yet there's a message there, too, about Russia and about Ukraine and about Obama and about NSA, but she does it in such a pleasing way that people walk away with it laughing and also saying, wow, she was right on that again. You know, when you see the John Kerrys and people like that, there's Al Gore, they're so stiff, they're so used to reading off of teleprompters and scripted nonsense. They can't do anything like that off the cuff. No way.
No. Well, let's go into something. I'd like to maybe remind people what she did say about Russia and about the Ukraine. When did it actually take place? Was that it was in the, I can't remember. Was that a last election cycle?
No, it was actually all the way back in 2008.
In 2008, she said it. Okay, I didn't know if it was the first.
It was during the campaign. It wasn't during a huge moment. It wasn't during a debate or anything like that. It was just on the stump. She was at one of the events speaking, and she, mentioned what would happen in her mind if Obama is elected and Putin was able to do what he wants to do. And here we are a few years later, and she, unfortunately, is right again, because just like the death panels and other things that she was laughed at about by some or criticized, here's Palin right on top of things once again.
Why did she get the credit, though? It's interesting. Why, if somebody else would have said something, if Al Gore would have said that, if, you could pick a bunch of names, but left versus right, but it's just, if she says it, it's like, oh, well, hey, the clock's right twice a day. Broken clock is right twice a day. I mean, those are the kind of things, the backdrop that you hear. But, someone else would have got a lot of credit for that, and it would have been serious news, and it would have been a serious discussion as to why she thought that, what brought her to it. Yeah, I mean, or someone else would have said it. They would have asked those substantive questions, but with her, they just ignore it.
Well, sadly, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, a lot of people get their news, quote unquote, from Jon Stewart, from Colbert, from Bill Maher. They don't even, know what news is. That said, you want to put a positive spin on it, the fact that Fallon even ran that last night and mentioned the fact that she predicted this, you're going to get some people who did not know this say,
right,
wait a minute, she really did predict this,
right,
and figure this out. So little by little, the gap closes. And you just have to keep it up. You just have to keep hitting it.
Right. What about her new show? Do you know anything that we don't know?
Well, tonight is the first one. It's a half hour every week on the Sportsman Channel, 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. And tonight, one of the first guests is Julie Golub, who is the one of the best shooters in America. She's a sharpshooter. She's part of the Smith & Wesson team. She's a veteran, a mom. And she's actually our guest on the Palin Update today, too, Julie Golub, on
cool.
Sarah Net Radio. So if you want to hear her before the show and learn a little bit about what's coming on Amazing America tonight with Sarah Palin, just tune into sarahnetradio.net. Follow us on Twitter at SarahNetRadio. And, Julie Golub's one of the first guests, and should be a lot of fun. She's going to be looking at a lot of different things. Put it this way, Eddie, the shooting, the target shooting, and the things that Julie Golub does, that's the most pedestrian of the quote-unquote sports that Palin's going to be covering. There's some wild things, including pastors racing cars.
Oh, no. That'd be good. Hey, we're going to take a break here, Kevin, and hold the phone. When we come back, I want to talk to you about this moderate Republicans who oppose Sarah. And, what is that all about? It's the Karl Rove against the Sarah Palin, the Tea Party, the more conservative. This is a big battle going on. in the Republican Party. And I'd like to talk to you about that, ask you about it, and see how Sarah kind of fits into all this. We'll be right back. Kevin Scholla, my guest, all the way from one of those blue states on the East Coast. What is it? The left coast? Yeah, the left coast. We'll be right back here after the break. 6:48 here at the Hot Talk KOAN Studios, 95.5 and 1080 on your AM dial. 569-1080, 569-1080. You can reach me at talkradiohost@gmail.com. talkradiohost@gmail.com. My guest on the phone, it's Thursday. It's 6:30. Well, now it's 6:48, but we always bring Kevin Scholla, the Breitbart columnist, the host of SarahNetRadio.net. And let's see, what else? Do you do anything with Palin TV?
What don't I do, right?
Yeah, what don't you do?
We start our baseball season tonight. The Trenton Thunder, the Yankees affiliate. I'll be at the ballpark there tonight, and just anything but sleeping. So
yeah. So now, okay, we want to get into the Republicans and this war going on, the Karl Roves against the Sarah Palins in the world, I guess, but.
Yeah.
Okay, your bracket's doing pretty good. You still have Florida in there. Some might say that was an easy guess, but hey, who would have predicted Duke? Yeah, it's always easy when, things go the way people think they go. But so how's your bracket holding up there, bud?
I have a shot still. I have Florida and Wisconsin in the championship game.
Right.
So if they both win and then Florida wins it, I'm looking good in the office pool. So that would be the first time since back when Utah was in the final with Keith Van Horn. So I don't even remember when that was.
I think that's pretty cool, though, because we wrote them down. Where's that? I was looking around here for that paper because I wrote your picks down, and I knew that's pretty good, though. You got Wisconsin and Florida still in the Final Four. So you're, I tell you.
Yeah, and they're my championship game. So hopefully they'll go. Yeah, I lost Iowa State. They had that tough injury and, played well, almost pulled it out anyway. And then I lost Wichita, who lost to Kentucky, who is in the Final Four. So, Kentucky's just, they're so young, I think they don't know what they're doing, and that's a good thing for them. They are just, playing without any pressure. Usually when you're a very young team like that, it's one way or the other. Either you're missing foul shots left and right and feeling all the pressure, or you have this Kentucky team that they're just so much fun to watch because they're just so young. It just seems that they're just like, okay, another game, let's go. I'll run everybody out of the gym, and that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, you never – that is so interesting you brought that up because sometimes in life I've watched some salespeople, and sometimes it's the guy that doesn't even know he's new, doesn't really know what he's doing, but he sells, and that's because he's not mentally trying to like a veteran salesperson. He's not mentally trying to handle the deal. He's just being himself. He's just doing what comes natural, and the next thing you know, he's bang, bang, bang. He's moving product. And it's just because of who he is, and some people say he just doesn't know any better, and he hasn't outsmarted himself. And when you get to be a veteran salesperson, sometimes you try to outthink you try to outsmart yourself, and trying to figure out the customer and all these other deals. And I think you're right about this basketball, this young Kentucky team. They're just out there playing hard-nosed basketball and putting the ball on the floor and putting it through the net. So good observation. Thanks.
And the other thing, Eddie, to watch for, which is just unreal, you can't make this up, Florida has only lost 2 games all year. Who did they lose to? Connecticut, who they will play in the national semifinals, and Wisconsin,
right,
who they possibly could play in the finals. So all year, you only lose 2 games, and there they are waiting for you at the end.
I was talking. What was you talking about? One of the 11 big statistics about the deal, and that is Wisconsin is somebody's playing. They always say that the team that won in their earlier game in the year generally statistically wins the Final Four championship against whoever that opponent was. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's I forget. I read it yesterday, and so we'll see if that holds true. But so, what about the war within the Republican camp?
Yeah, it's especially with Sarah Palin. I mean, Look, a lot of these guys, you can read through them. It's so ridiculous. They're just like any other politician. We've talked about this before. They are just a little less bad than the Democrats. I mean, if you would, you certainly would prefer them in some cases because of some of the votes that go down.
Right.
But a lot of the times, I mean, look what's happening. All these guys, we're going to repeal Obamacare. There's no other way. And then as soon as they're pushed the other way, well, maybe we'll just change it a little bit.
Yeah.
This type of thing. And they get away with it. You mentioned McConnell last week, and all these guys, they're all in the same camp. It'd be shorter if we just mentioned the guys that are not of that mindset, because that's the less numbers.
Well, we got one of them up here, Lisa Murkowski. She's in that Karl Rove, liberal Republican camp. Yeah.
Well, you sure do, and it's funny that someone else again with those Palin ties in a negative way. But you look at Sarah Palin, how she's the lightning rod here for this, with Karl Rove, with Chris Christie, with these guys that are jealous of her. They want the limelight. They want to be the ones who, whereas Ted Cruz and Rand Paul, they understand that embracing Governor Palin's a good thing. But you mentioned Alaska. Forget about on the national level. You have people right up there in the state. Look at Charlie Huggins, the Republican senator up there, a Wasilla guy. I mean, he's been after Palin for years now.
Yeah.
So this is and what a phony too. I mean, he's the guy who voted yes on the subpoenas, but said, I don't think it really is going to amount to anything, but we should get to the bottom of things. One of these let's play both sides. One
That's
of these
bad
types.
blood.
Yeah, that's a typical politician, isn't it? Say one thing, do another. You lie and I swear to it. That kind of thing. So these guys, it's one thing to disagree. That's why, like a Dennis Kucinich, for instance, the man is absolutely insane, but he doesn't waver from his opinions.
And you can respect that.
Yes, absolutely. We know he believes that there's little green men coming down at night and picking him up in the ship and the whole thing and the vegan and whatever else he's doing. But you know what? He tells you where he stands, and you can at least say, okay, he's completely insane, but we know this, and you can respect the man.
Like Bernie Sanders from Vermont, he's a socialist. He'll tell you he's a socialist. And
right, at least he uses the word, right?
Yeah, he'll just say it, man. I'm like, dude, you're all right. I'm not going to vote for you. I don't like your politics, right. but dude, I got to hand it to you. At least you're honest with us.
But that's what you see from these other guys that you don't see, like this Huggins in Alaska. He's the type, let me say one thing and then do another, and I'll pretend I'm working for the people, but really I'm after Palin, that type of thing.
Yeah. What do you think how does is this just a part of history here, this battle between in the Republican Party? Is it healthy?
No, because it's healthy when you have two viable options. It's not healthy when you have one option that's spineless and is just doing everything Democrats tell them to do, and another that is trying to stand up for the Constitution. I think that we're at that breaking point. Now, it's not over. It's 3 strikes, you're out. So they did the McCain deal. They did the Romney deal. They got one more chance. Are they going to go Jeb Bush? Are they going to go Chris Christie and lose again? But, of course, there's 2014 to worry about first. You look at these senators, these Senate candidates that Governor Palin is endorsing. You get all of them in. I mean, that can turn the tide. You repeal Obamacare, you're back on track. But you have to get people like this in there, because if not, either the Republican Party goes away or it becomes just a complete punching bag, which we've seen in recent years under Obama.
I'm just perplexed that these more moderate liberal Republicans they just go along. It's just like this, and it's kind of surreal when you look at it. They just like, okay, well, we'll just do this. This is a good old boy network, and we're just going to go along, get along. It's like the guy that told me years ago when I went and visited D.C. I was back there on a convention or something, and there's no Republicans or Democrat in this town, bud. We were sitting at a bar, and he's just telling me, and he goes, look, I'm a staffer. He goes, these guys, they all get along. They all go to each other's houses. They all party together. They all go to golf together. All this stuff you see on TV sometimes, it's just for the cameras. It's just for the people back home. But, and he's really right. I've mentioned this to you before. and there's no one back there, except for Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and some other folks. But these Chris Christies and the Lisa Murkowskis and the Karl Roves, they just want to go along, get along, and continue, and just be, what, Democrat light? I don't know. How do you say that? Just kind of almost like a Democrat. It's disappointing. I don't know what the fix to it is.
It's upsetting. People who've been part of the Republican Party for so many years are just disgruntled. And they're even worse in some ways because at least, again, like we mentioned Kucinich, but even Obama and Pelosi and these people, you kind of know where they stand. These Republicans, they tell you one thing and do another, and then they play ball anyway. At least you're getting the truth from the other side, and they're staying together. These guys, I mean, every time you turn around, oh, we'll be okay, and then they're going to give in on guns. Oh, this and that, and then they're going to give in on abortion. Oh, this and that, and then they're going to give in on taxes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of lip service, and people are feeling the brunt of it, or they're passing it along to local officials. That old game where, oh, well, we won't raise taxes, and then they put it on a local mayor to have to do it, and then he gets voted out instead of the guy in Washington.
Politics, it's a slippery slope. Kevin Scholla, time always goes by too fast when you're on, and I wanted to get to some guns issues, but we just chatted too much. It's my fault. I'm sorry. We'll see you again, and thank you so much again for coming on, okay?
All right, Eddie, next week.
Yep, bye-bye.